Techniques of the mind is what we're going to cover now. And this is my favorite part of the Birthing Through Hypnosis program. The techniques that we've talked about so far are techniques of position and techniques of breath, because you're always going to be in some kind of position doing some kind of breath. Now we're going to talk about techniques of the mind. And that's because our mind is always doing something, right? Our brain is always thinking, and we want to direct what it's thinking about. And once we talk about techniques of the mind, which is going to be the next few videos, we will then focus on techniques of touch and then how to put this all together and put all the puzzle pieces together so that you feel completely ready to give birth and welcome your baby in the most aligned way possible with your belief system, with your body, with your partner. So this is really important parts of the journey. So in techniques of the mind, we talk about visualization, hypnosis, meditation, mindfulness. There are lots of ways of thinking about this. And as I said in an earlier episode, sometimes that word hypnosis brings about some strange connotations just because it makes people think that they are going to be in a state of mind that they've never been in before, and that they're going to be so in that state of mind that they're not going to know what's going on in their body or around them. And that is not what we're doing, right? What we're doing is really splitting our attention in these techniques of the mind. And so you're still going to know you're in labor. You're still going to know whether you're at home, you're in a hospital, who's around you, all those things. And you're going to, instead of taking all of your attention and focusing on discomfort, you're going to take your attention and focus on some of the techniques that we're about to learn. And by doing that, you make this journey so much more comfortable for yourself. It's the biggest gift you can give yourself. I do encourage you to, whether you do it this time you watch this video or whether you bring your partner in to watch us in a future time, I really encourage you to learn these together, because there's often a place in labor where these techniques of the mind become really hard for mom to do on her own. So in early labor, contractions are pretty mild and you've got long break in between them. They're pretty short. Mom is going to be totally able to do some of these techniques of the mind. And we'll talk about some that only you can just do for 30 seconds and then take a break. But as labor goes on, and somewhere in there, there's a tipping point where it can become hard because mom is using so much energy to give birth that she doesn't have energy left over to create these visualizations and these meditations that we're going to practice. And so at that point, you need help. One of the things that you will have available to you are the hypnosis meditation recordings that have my voice walking you through almost all of the things that we're about to talk about. You can play them as many times as you want. And I have had many, many students do that and find it really helpful, both in practicing and preparing for childbirth and also during childbirth. So they are powerful tools. We'll go over what they are and how to use them. And those same tools can be coming from your partner's voice, right? Your birth partner could be your life partner. That is possible. Your birth partner could be your mom, could be your best friend, could be a doula. I'm a big fan of birth doulas, as I will talk about in a future episode. So we are preparing whoever it is who's going to be our main support person. We want to know that I know what's going to help me relax because I've practiced it during my pregnancy, and you know what's going to help me relax, and we can work together to make that happen. We're maximizing relaxation so that my body can open and do this thing as easily as possible. So the way I want to talk about this is that the techniques of the mind, creating a visualization, hypnosis, meditation, whatever you want to talk about call that, whatever you want to call that, excuse me. What we're doing is using our voice as a tool. And so when I am working with someone and doing hypnosis, or even when I recorded what you're going to hear, uh, I got into that state of relaxation myself. So there's no way that as a birth partner that you can create a relaxing visualization for someone and check your email at the same time, or walk on a treadmill at the same time, or this is not a moment for multitasking. So part of what I did when I recorded these was I picked flowers. I went outside today and picked some flowers from that beautiful tree over there, and lit candles and got really comfortable and cozy and did a little bit of relaxation before I even started recording. And the reason for that is that if my voice is going to be a tool, then let's go back to that scale of 0 or 1 to 10 that we talked about earlier in the episodes when we were talking about discomfort, or what some people call pain. And if 1 is, I am so relaxed that I basically am going to fall asleep, and 10 is, I cannot handle this anymore. Most of labor, we're spending somewhere in between there. Well, we want our voice to be around a 3. It can't be a 1, so relaxed we're about to fall asleep, because then we're not going to be able to think and do it. But if my voice is a 3 and the pregnant laboring mama is tuning into my voice, she's going to be at a 3. So that's part of what we're trying to do. Relaxation is contagious. And so you want to be a soothing influence to laboring mama. So your voice is going to be gentle, it's going to be slow, it's going to be soothing. You're going to use relaxing images. You're not going to read from the New York Times. No matter how gently you read, it's not going to be relaxing. So we're going to talk more right now about how to use your voice as a tool and all the ways that you can do that. And I'm sure you can think of even more than we cover. So thinking about contractions, when Mother Nature created this journey of birth, she made most contractions from 30 to 90 seconds, right? That's the rule of thumb that we're planning for in a natural birth. So if you are practicing these relaxations, you may practice from creating some kind of visualization that you're doing from 30 to 90 seconds. And then mama might have 5 minutes in between contractions and she opens her eyes and she's chatting. Well, you're not going to keep on talking to her or tell her, like, you need to focus. You are following her lead, really. So if she opens her eyes, you stop talking. But if her eyes are closed and she's asked you to create some kind of visualization for her, then that's what you're doing. You're tuning in, you're being a 3, you're being as relaxed as you can, and you are continuing until her eyes open. If her eyes open in between contractions, that'll be 30 to 90 seconds. If her eyes stay closed and she wants to remain in an internally focused, relaxed position so that she's as relaxed as humanly possible when the next contraction starts, great, right? You need to have the ability as a birth partner to keep going and fill that space. So those are the differences. There's either visualization that you're doing that's very short, or you're creating a much longer meditation or visualization. So imagine that you are a 3 on the scale and mama has a contraction. Well, mama, depending on where she is in labor, may not be able to stay at a 3, right? That contraction may pull her attention and it may be really hard for her to relax. And you keep on, you are still a 3. So maybe she pops up here to a 6, you're still a 3. So if she tunes back into you and she's able to get back to that place of relaxation, you are helping her. You're giving her a place to put her mind. She's doing her balloon breath. She's in a good position where she's relaxed. She's able to be like a, jello, no bones is part of what I like to think about. Of course, unless you're upright. But you're you're the kind of the background that is constant. And if she tunes into you, she can come back down to that 3. That's beautiful. Let's just say in between contractions, if her eyes are still closed, maybe she goes down here to a 1 and she doesn't even hear what you're saying. She's so relaxed, she's completely tuned you out. Well, when she tunes back in, you're right there. So when her next contraction starts, if she pops up to a 5 this time, well, you're right there to help her back down to a place of relaxation. That's our goal, to stay as low on that scale as possible in every single contraction. And the reason that I am talking about mom going up and down on this scale is because that was my experience. I did not stay at a 3 through all of my contractions. I did not have comfort all the time throughout labor. There were contractions where I was like, oh God, no, that was really hard. And so I don't want to sit here and set an expectation that you're going to be just completely fine. It's actually one of the things I don't like about a lot of childbirth classes. I think they set unrealistic expectations. And then mom gets scared because she was expecting this, right? She's expecting that just because she practices and in pregnancy and is able to maintain this amazing state of relaxation, that that's going to be completely accessible to her in childbirth. I have had students who have had that experience. I've had many students who've had that experience, but not the majority. And I don't want to set that expectation. I want you to be prepared to bring yourself back over and over to a state of relaxation. So let's talk about what happens if mom, during a particularly intense contraction, pops up to an 8 and is unable to get anywhere back down to what you're doing and is just muscling it through the contraction, like waiting for it to be over, going, oh God. Well, all hope is not lost. What I like to think about is that that is your body's signal that it's time to change something, right? So in between contractions, rather than opening your eyes and going, oh, fuck, I can't do this. That's not helpful. But instead of that, let's imagine that you come back out of the contraction and you say, something needs to change, right? That if this isn't working for me anymore. Well, you have a break. In that break, use it. So let's get into a new position, even just rolling from one side to the other side, right? Going from your hands and knees to being in a leapfrog position, going into the tub that you haven't been in a little while. Any technique that stopped working an hour ago will probably work now. And then change whatever the visualization is you're doing. You just change it up. And we're going to learn so many techniques. You do not need all of them, but you're going to have a whole menu of them. And so it's like you order off the menu. You keep up with the balloon breath during contraction. That's constant. You're going to pick a position where your belly's hanging off of the spine in your first stage, as we've talked about. And in the second stage, you're going to change your breath and you're going to change your position because everything changes in your body. But those things are more set. The visualizations are super flexible. So they require much more practice while you're pregnant, so that you have a plethora of options, lots of options for what you enjoy and what your birth partner knows is available to you, so that they can just go down the list and then start over. So as we're going through these techniques, if there's any that you just do not like, just cross them off your list. You do not need to have all of these techniques. I'm giving you more than you need to get through labor. You need a handful of tools that your body responds to really positively, that you and your birth partner have practiced working with, and that you can rotate through. So when one stops working, you go to the next and go to the next and come back to the first. And there really are infinite combinations of these techniques that you can do. So you are going to have more than enough to get you through labor and allow you to feel really prepared for this amazing journey of birthing your baby.